But I do want you to understand that though they are not monolithic, there are some common interests and common philosophical viewpoints that were shared by the vast majority, if not all, of the Founding Fathers. And that's where we find ourselves on this issue of the Founding Fathers' faith. Now, why does the faith of the Founding Fathers matter? Why am I dedicating an entire lesson to uncovering the faith, the personal faith of our Founding Fathers? Well, I want you to understand that the agenda of the modern left in this country, and you're going to see this over the course of the next few lessons, is the agenda of the left is threatened by the notion of traditional morality, of moral absolutes. They are severely threatened by that. The success of their agenda depends on the destruction of that. Now, why is that? Because the modern left teaches that whatever you want to believe, whatever truth you have, whatever reality you want to set for yourself, just do it. Whatever feels good, do it. If you want an abortion, go for it, and I can't tell you any differently. You want to marry somebody of the same sex, go for it, and I can't tell you any differently. In other words, we make up our own truth. Now, what is the contrary to that? What contests that? The belief that there's an absolute moral authority that declares right and wrong for all of us, that we all have to follow. That traditional morality gets in the way of the left's agenda. In order for secular humanism to come to dominate in this culture, Judeo-Christian ethics and the Judeo-Christian heritage of this nation must be absolutely obliterated and destroyed. It must be wiped out in its entirety, or the secular humanist philosophy cannot firmly take root. It must be eliminated. Don't believe me? Believe them. In the Humanist Manifesto, it says this. They say themselves, the humanist stated purpose is to effect a cultural revolution by substituting humanism for Christianity as the cultural foundation of America. You don't take it from me. They're saying it themselves. They want to take the Judeo-Christian, the Christian ethic out and supplant it with secular humanism. Now, they made a mistake in writing their manifesto. They kind of acknowledged something there, didn't they? They acknowledged that Christianity was the foundation, the cultural foundation of America. That's why it has to be replaced. Oops. They kind of tend to do this from time to time, acknowledge things that they don't really intend to acknowledge, but they did. And that's exactly what happened here in the Communist Manifesto. Now, the great dilemma that the secular humanists have in advancing their agenda and destroying the Judeo-Christian ethic is quite simply America's great success. We have been a very prosperous people. So the logical question is, how do you convince millions of Americans that the foundation of this civilization, which has resulted in all of the prosperity that we've experienced, all the blessings that we've enjoyed, how do you convince millions of Americans that that foundation that has yielded that is bad and it needs to be replaced, needs to be discarded? Well, the simple answer is, you don't convince millions of Americans of that reality. All you do is convince them that that foundation never truly existed in the first place. Don't try to change their minds on it. Simply convince them that the foundation never existed. And therefore we have the assault on the faith of the Founding Fathers. That is the purpose that you hear all of these arguments that the Founding Fathers were not men of great faith. Such as comments from Dr. Stephen Morris, who has spent an inordinate amount of time and done an inordinate amount of work to prove that the Founding Fathers were not Christians. This is a piece of his. The Christian right is trying to rewrite the history of the United States as part of its campaign to force its religion on others. They, the Christian right, try to depict the Founding Fathers as pious Christians who wanted the United States to be a Christian nation with laws that favored Christians and Christianity. This is patently untrue. The early presidents and patriots were generally Unitarians or deists, believing in some form of impersonal providence, but rejecting the divinity of Jesus and the absurdities of the Old and the New Testament. I want you to remember this quote, because we're going to reference it from time to time. You know, I don't have much problem agreeing with Dr. Stephen Morris that history is being rewritten. I agree with him 100%. We merely disagree on who it is that's going about rewriting history. We have a sharp disagreement on that particular issue. And here's why. Of the 55 men who attended the Constitutional Convention, virtually all of them, every single one, was a professing, and that's the key word, professing evangelical Christian. Historical records document that 54 out of the 55 were members of the Christian church. And 52 of those 55 were active, unabashed, outspoken regarding their personal faith. 52 out of the 55 outspoken, but 54 out of 55 attenders and members of the Christian church. Of those 54, 29 were Episcopalians, 9 were Presbyterians, 7 Congregationalists, 2 Lutherans, 2 Dutch Reformed, 2 Methodists, 2 Roman Catholic, 1 Quaker, and a partridge in a pear tree. That totals 54 if you add all of those up, my friends. So who is it? Who's the one? That's the logical question everybody asks. Well, you've got 54 out of 55. Who is that heathen founding father, if you will? Who is that non-religious founding father? Well, that one heathen founder was the venerated statesman, the elder statesman, Benjamin Franklin himself of Pennsylvania. Of course, heathen might be a bit of an unfair characterization of Mr. Franklin, because this heathen founder, this least religious of all the founding fathers, he himself called for daily prayer at the Constitutional Convention. He himself contributed to all Christian denominations. I will say this, if Benjamin Franklin is a heathen, the world could certainly use more heathens like him. I undoubtedly assume that your preachers and your pastors and your teachers wouldn't mind if there were more heathens like that in the world. Other than just the new nation, these are some of the organizations and the associations that the founding fathers founded, began, started, and maintained. The American Tract Society, publishing biblical tracts. The American Bible Society. The American Sunday School Union. The Philadelphia Bible Society. The Charleston Bible Society. The New Jersey Bible Society. The Baltimore Bible Society. The Connecticut Bible Society. The Massachusetts Bible Society. The Massachusetts Society of Connecticut. The Society of the Propagating of the Gospel Among Indians and others. The American Board of Foreign Missions. The American Society for Educating Youth for the Gospel Ministry, the Society for Promoting Christian Knowledge, and then Hamilton's vision, the Christian Constitutional Society, unfortunately was never realized for Alexander Hamilton because